Hey everyone, welcome again to another lesson in this Tosca automation course. Today I'm going to show you how you can use repetitions in Tosca to run your test steps repeatedly n number of times. I'm going to show you two ways of doing this in your Tosca automation test cases. So for this purpose, I have created a new folder and I have created a test case flow in which we'll be using repetitions. So we'll be using the same app. What I'll be doing is I'll be going to this URL. I'll be using this username and password to log in. And then what I'm going to do, just let me get clear of these notifications. And then what I will do is I'm going to click on this add to cart button 5 times. Now, this might not be an ideal scenario where you will use repetitions, but if you want to also do some performance testing on your elements, or on your application, you can also use this repetitions. Or else, if you have a specific scenario where you want to repeat your test steps, so you can use this repetitions logic, which I'm going to show you. Okay, so let me reset this app state and let's log out and let's close this. Okay, so as I told you, I have added these steps where I'm going to log in first into the application, and then I've got this repetition test step, right? Or a repetition test case. Inside this, I have a test step for adding products, as I showed you, and the repetition would be in this particular folder. Okay, so the steps inside this folder will be repeated again and again, and that is to click on the add to cart button, okay, as I showed you, and then we are going to close the application. Okay, so let's see how we can add these repetitions to our test steps. So for our case, the test step is to add the products multiple times. Okay, or click on the add to cart button multiple times. So as I said earlier, there are two ways of doing this. Okay, so the first way is to add another extra column in your test cases section where you can add repetitions. And how you can do that is go to this particular section and right click here, and you will see there is an option called column chooser. Okay, so this way you can add any number of columns or different columns to your test cases. So here you will find there is a column called repetition. Now either you can drag and drop this into your sections column section, or you can also double click it to just add it to your columns. Okay, and it will currently show it under the columns of your test cases. Once you do that, you have got the repetition column, and now you can add any number of repetitions here, um, which you want to run this test steps. Okay, so this will not be at the test step level. You cannot add it here, or you cannot add it under the test case. You have to add it in the folder under which your test steps are there. Okay, so if you want to run all of these test steps under this folder multiple number of times, then you have to mention it here. So for example, if I do 5 times, okay, I want to run this 5 times, I have added a repetition of 5. Okay, so that's all I need to do, and let's go ahead and see whether this is working or not. Okay, so I'm going to run this particular folder which contains all the steps. And as you can see now, it is logging in and it is trying to click on the add to cart multiple times. Okay, just ignore that notification on the Chrome browser. It is giving on some password being used maliciously. So if we ignore that particular thing and we go to the results of the scratchbook, you will see in add products folder, we have got 5 repetitions. So let me expand this, and you will see it has got this step which has been executed multiple times, or the number of times we desired it. Okay, so this way you can add repetitions to your test steps which will be repeated multiple number of times. Okay, now this was just the one way of doing it. Okay, Now let's look at another way of doing this. So let me remove this. Okay, you can also remove your columns. If I haven't mentioned it earlier, you can just drag your column and there is a cross sign on your screen. So just leave it and your column would be removed. Okay, so now I have removed the repetition column value here from the add products folder. So it's not going to run any repetition for my test steps, but I'm going to show you the other way. Okay, so go to the properties section and here you will also find a property called repetition. Okay, only for this particular folder. So here I can again mention to run this repetitions rather 4 times this time. Okay, so let's try a different number. So this is now set to run the repetition for the test steps under this folder for 4 times. Okay, and it is set in the properties section, not in the column section. Okay, but as you can see, once I set it in the properties section, the column section is automatically updated. Okay, so it's one and the same thing, but there are two ways of doing it. Okay, so now if I go ahead and run, so running this again in Scratchbook, and now it should basically do the same thing. Okay, so it is going to click on the add to cart multiple times. And we can see the same thing uh, in our results. So let's expand this result section and go to the add products and you can see 4 repetitions. Okay, so last time around we had 5 repetitions and now we have 4. So this is how you can add repetitions to your test steps so that they are executed multiple number of times. That depends, as I said, on your scenario of the application you are testing. Although the scenario I showed was not the perfect example, but at least now you got an idea on how you can use repetitions in your Tosca test cases. And before we end this topic, let me show you another small thing which is quite noticeable or not noticeable. So when we add some repetition to a folder, the folder icon changes. Okay, so you can see a rounded arrow going backwards whenever there is a repetition. And if I remove this repetition now, you will see the folder has again changed to a normal folder. Okay, so that's the sign you need to look for if there is any repetition for any particular test steps which are part of that folder. Okay, so this is all about repetitions. Look out for more videos coming up soon in Tosca again.